investors get home inspections and some don't. It depends. I mean, we've got a lot of if a property's on sewer, you probably want to get, if it's on septic system, you probably want to get that inspected because the fields could be bad, the tank could be bad. We've seen cracked tanks. We've seen tree roots growing into the pipes, blocking everything up. Wells, get wells tested. I mean, I just bought another house this summer up in Connecticut, and the first time I've ever had to drill a well. Had a shallow well on the property, tested positive for bacteria. It was basically picking up surface contaminants. Certainly, I don't want to, and nor anybody in the future that should be in that house should, in this day and age, should have any sort of, bacteria in their water. So, decided to drill a new well. It was a substantial cost for the house. But, it's important to have that the house is safe.
But you knew it, but you had that figured out before you went in.
Before I closed, I went over there with a water quality testing. This was another bank-owned property that I had purchased this summer, and went over with the guy was there for he was there for about 10 minutes with me. I got the invoice for $200, but hey, it's like I knew what I was getting into, and I actually, with his report, I was able to go back to the bank and say, hey, knock another $5,000 off the cost of this.
I have to drill a well.
Yeah, so it was worth it would have been worth $400 or $500 for that 10 minutes that he was there, because the bank agreed to a $5,000 price reduction. So what did the new well cost me? $3,000. So I thought that was
But what would it have cost you if you didn't know?
Well, it would have been $8,000.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten the $5,000 back from the bank. So,
right.
Yep.
And that's the math they forget to do.
Yep. Yeah.
So where were we? I got you off track. We were having this great conversation, and then I went off in this other direction.
I know one of the things we wanted to talk about today was, we talked a little bit last week about just the basics of kind of private money, hard money approaching companies like us or other companies. This week, in terms of, we were going to talk this week about the sophisticated investors, how to use hard money, as a tool.
And these are the guys that you can really help. This is where your company is more focused.
Well, we're focused on, whether you do one property a year with us or you're doing 10 loans a year with us, we're there to be used as a tool and to be kind of your partner in success. I love helping our borrowers build their wealth. I always tell my borrowers, I want to see you make a ton of money on this, so we don't have to worry about making our little bit of money.
Yes.
And so we want to set them up for success. We want them to, it doesn't happen all the time. Once in a while, there's a deal that just doesn't go right or something. I had a borrower up in Connecticut that took down a property. Both the septic and the well failed. And, I think he tested for it before he closed on the septic. And over the course of the winter, I don't know if something froze or broke additionally or something, but at the end, they decided to put in a new well and a new septic. So it was a $40,000 increase that wasn't budgeted. So I actually think he still might have made money on that property. There was a decent-sized margin, and it was in a good town. But, yeah, you never know. So,
and if you have good exit strategies, if you don't hang yourself with just one exit strategy, you can always have... there's always, I honestly can say I have never lost money on a property. I can say that. But
knock on wood, Maggie Rose. Knock on wood.
I did. But I won't say that things always went the way I thought they would. But I always had plan A, plan B, plan C. That's just the kind of person I am. So when it came to investing, I had that same attitude. If this didn't work, this could work. We could always do this. So there was always another way to end the investment part, to get the money to move, whether I was going to finance out or I was going to hold it, whatever. And I have properties that were, I don't know why I bought them. Why did I do this? You get into it. Your instinct tells you, I don't want to do this, but you do it anyway because you let somebody else maybe have more influence on your decision than you want to. Even though at the back of my mind, I knew this is how we'll get out of this one, and it worked. So not to go off, but I just can't stress how important I think that exit strategy is. And I noticed that when we were talking, you said you look for that too.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that our borrowers understand kind of what they're getting into. And so as long as if it's a fix and flip, their exit strategy is a sale, right?
Right.
So they're in there, it doesn't matter what their credit is. They can have a 500 credit score or an 800 credit score. If they're selling the house, their credit score is irrelevant to the property, right? But if it's something where the borrower wants to keep it as a long-term, buy and hold an income-producing property, and they take down our money for short-term so that they can get the property fixed up, leased up, and stabilized cash flow so that they can refi it, well, then their credit score is important for that exit strategy because, we don't want them to be stuck in our money because our money is more expensive than traditional, bank financing. And so you want to make sure that they can get out of the more expensive money. It's just used as a tool for short term. Private lenders, hard money lenders, our money is designed to be used for just a short period of time because of the cost of capital. I mean, you've got lenders out there from 8 to 12%, and it's just when you can get commercial financing for 5 to 6% and owner occupied financing if you're kind of investing for yourself and living in the properties, you can get that down in the 3 to 4% range. So, understanding your exit strategies is definitely one of the key legs of the stool that I talked about a little bit earlier.
Well, I want to thank you, Robert. Really, honestly, this information has been just exhilarating for me to get all this feedback from you. Is there anything else that you feel like I'm missing that you would like to put out there?
Well, I think one of the things we didn't really talk about kind of the leveraging for the first-time investors or second or third-time investors, the relatively new guys to the guys that are and gals that are really killing it out there. I wanted to talk a little bit today about proper leveraging of your real estate portfolio, and that's if you've got it in if you're a first-time investor and you say you're doing your first fix and flip. For those that are interested in fix and flips, and you've got $25,000 and you want to go flip a single family home, right? You're going to take that $25,000. That's probably on a $100,000 property purchase. That's probably what you're going to need to work with a lender like us or another lender. You're going to fix up that house and hopefully you make another $25,000, right? But now you've got $50,000. So if you go and you leverage, instead of having one property going at a time, where you have to go through the entire sales cycle, right? You've got to identify your first property, you've got to take it down, you've got to fix it up, you've got to put it on the market, and you've got to sell it. That whole sales cycle can take anywhere from 3 to 6, 7, 8 months. But if you've got two going at one time, maybe one of those is more efficient. Like, so if you've got that say the investor makes the $25,000 on the first house, flips it, has $50,000 now, has two houses going. Maybe one house takes 8 or 9 months. Maybe the other house speeds through and closes and pays off in 3 months, and then they've made another $25,000. Hard money is used most effectively, for investors if you've got the cash and you've got the capital that you can pay for everything in cash. Well, great. Don't utilize a private lender or hard money lender. But if you're trying to leverage and grow your portfolio exponentially in the beginning and quick, and you want to get as much leverage as you can, but you've got to use that leverage properly, or it can turn into a two-edged sword. I know we're running out of time this week, but maybe we can talk about that and continue the conversation next week.
I think that's a great idea, Robert. I really do. I think you've done a fabulous job of peeling back some of the mystique and the myth. The money isn't the hardest part of investing. We have a solid idea of what the company can do. So why don't we do that? Why don't we get together next week? I'd like to invite you back, and we'll do this one more time.
Sounds like a plan. I'll clear my my coffee schedule and come on in and see you in the studio.
I love that. Thank you.
This has been Real Estate Hotwired with Maggie Rose March. Please stay tuned for more with Robert Parker from Flip It Funding. If you have any questions or comments, please contact her at maggierosemarch.com or realestatehotwired@gmail.com.